after the reunification, everyone in Taiwan need to make a pledge whether they acknowledge there is only one China and Taiwan is part of China.
And if they don't make that pledge, they're out.
Those who pledge for the one China policy, they are local.
By the way, you didn't say everyone. You said of Japanese descent. That is literally ethnic. Like you're picking people by their ethnic heritage, making them do a loyalty test. Otherwise, they have to get out of the country.
It is not a loyalty test.
你頭先都講咗啦，即係要承認中國又或者一個中國原則嘅人先係本地居民啊嘛。咁唔承認嗰啲，咪唔係本地居民咯，咪即係踢走人咯。解釋咁多講經咩？咁所以咁多位台灣人睇住啦，喺中國係從來都唔會當你哋係自己人，係從來都唔會啊！佢哋永遠就只係見到台灣對佢有利用價值，所以先美其名以和平統一去侵略台灣嘅咋。咁對於嗰班到依家都仲認為即係中國係會當台灣一家人嘅嗰班台灣人啊，好心嘅睇下一段影片啦，自己反省下啦，一家人喐下大我㗎咋。咁相信大家都知道，咁就最近喺網上面就有一段嘅訪談節目啊，哇就真係笑多多都埋。咁就係中國智庫副主任高志凱近日就喺英國嗰度接受半島電視台嘅節目訪問。咁大家都知道㗎啦，一班咁嘅中國智庫都係喺度做啲中國嘅大外宣，向大家說好中國故事。咁所以我可以預期嘅就係呢一個嘅節目裏邊啊，佢哋一般都就只會不斷咁講，我們堅定不移要支持一個中國啊，中國第一，世界第二，台灣是我們的，香港是我們的，澳門也是我們的，世界也是我們的。咁之但係你又點會估到？點會諗到？當一位中國智庫不斷說好中國故事嘅時候，一個嘅節目裏邊嘅主持人啊，就係咁拎一啲嘅數據出嚟，然後大巴咁樣車落一位中國智庫塊面嗰度，咁所以就搞到一位中國智庫就頻頻出醜，又無力還手，甚至係表現到成隻狗咁樣啊！我睇到我咧就真係，
做乜高手真？
咁啊，就等同大家分享一下一段嘅訪談節目。咁之但係由於一段嘅訪談節目裏邊實在有太多嘅精華，咁所以今次呢一段影片咧，咁啊可能會長些少。咁之但係希望大家都能夠睇晒佢啦。咁你就會睇到呢一位中國智庫究竟點樣頻出醜啦，當中又有幾咁搞笑，同埋就係點樣說好真正嘅中國故事啦。
China, in 2024, the defense spending is going up by 7%, the most for 5 years. You've had 29 consecutive years of military expenditure growth, the most of any country in the world. Since 2022, China has increased military drills around Taiwan. It's escalated since the new Taiwanese president was inaugurated in May. China is not a fan of him. Since then, there's been almost daily activity involving China's warships, drones, cyber attacks against Taiwan. China is getting ready to invade Taiwan, isn't it?
There is only one China, Taiwan is part of China, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legitimate government for the totality of China. The exact status between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait is the unfinished civil war back in 1949. So, ever since the beginning of the 1980s, China does not want to use a war to solve this unification problem.
You don't want to use a war, but you're surrounding it with ships, drones, cyber attacks, and making lots of threats.
Each time when the separatists in Taiwan want to push the edge of the envelope, they will come across more and more demonstration of the commitment of the Chinese nation to eventually achieve peaceful reunification or otherwise.
Your defense minister said anyone who dares to pursue independence for Taiwan will be crushed into pieces and face destruction. Sounds like a truly peaceful guy.
That's a real statement.
Huh? 咁其實個主持人啊擺到明係諷刺緊你㗎啦。喺一方面你又話要和平統一，另一方面你又要嗰班台灣人粉身碎骨。喂，咁你都真係幾和平下喎。咁最搞笑嘅就係一位中國智庫仲喺度答人哋話係啊，份聲明係咁㗎。救命啊！喂，好心你哋中國政府唔好拍埋一啲弱智去同人哋講嘢得唔得啊？又係你哋話㗎嘛，台灣係屬於中國嘅，咁所以無論台灣人係啲乜嘢政治立場都好，咁佢都係台灣人，亦即係你哋眼中嘅中國人嚟嘅喎。咁如果你哋依家因為台灣人嘅政治立場同你唔同，而你話要殺佢啊要佢粉身碎骨嘅話，喂，咁同殺自己人又有啲乜嘢分別啊？大佬啊，即係到底你明唔明人哋串緊你啲乜嘢㗎？
If the separatists really want to push the edge of the envelope, with the aid of some big country, for example, which wants to use Taiwan as a proxy in its own geopolitical rivalry against China, then wait until you see what will happen. Wait until you see what will happen.
喂，睇下呢個，睇呢個，睇嗰個，喂，睇嗰個。
Reunification will be achieved, and China is the only permanent member of the United Nations Security Council which has not yet achieved a complete reunification.
I'm always amused with this phrase reunification, because if it's one China, then clearly it's not one China. Clearly you're accepting by definition if you need to reunify. They are doing their own thing. And why this obsession with Taiwan? You are a country of 3.7 million square miles, a population 60 times that of Taiwan, economy 20 times the size of Taiwan. Why are you obsessed with Taiwan? Why not just leave them be?
In terms of defending China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, any inch of land is not 1 inch too much. Any one single person is not one person too many.
咁更何況你一度都講啦，每一個人都唔係多餘噶嘛。咁既然係咁嘅話，點解你又要針對嗰一班所謂嘅台獨，又或者同你政見唔一樣嘅台灣人喊打喊殺啦？咁佢哋係多餘㗎。咁如果唔係咁嘅話，點解你又要佢哋粉身碎骨啊？
So we need to achieve reunification as
Even though they don't want to be part of your country. 12% of the people of Taiwan say they want to reunify with China. 12%. You can't get more unpopular than that in that.
Mehdi, it's not up to the people in Taiwan to decide about the one China policy.
You're very blunt in your disregard for people's views, freedoms, dignity. You say that you don't care about what they think. You also said in an interview with the French newspaper Le Monde, once we get the island back, we'll have to ask everyone's origins. Those who have Japanese ancestry, who you basically say can constitute 10% of the population, will have to pledge loyalty to reunification in writing, otherwise we'll have to help them leave. You're basically calling for the ethnic cleansing of 2.3 million people in Taiwan.
If you really do your homework, you will realize that those die-hard Taiwanese separatists include many of these Japanese Chinese.
But okay. But you would get rid of them. You would get rid of 2.3 million people.
No, after the reunification, everyone in Taiwan need to make a pledge whether they acknowledge there is only one China and Taiwan is part of China.
And if they don't make that pledge, they're out.
Those who pledge for the one China policy, they are local.
By the way, you didn't say everyone. You said of Japanese descent. That is literally ethnic. You're picking people by their ethnic heritage, making them do a loyalty test. Otherwise, they have to get out of the country.
It is not a loyalty test.
你頭先都講咗啦，即係要承認中國又或者一個中國原則嘅人先係本地居民啊嘛。咁唔承認嗰啲，咪唔係本地居民咯，咪即係踢走人咯，解釋咁多講經咩？咁所以咁多位台灣人睇住啦，啊中國係從來都唔會當你哋係自己人，係從來都唔會啊！佢哋永遠就只係見到台灣對佢有利用價值，所以先美其名以和平統一去侵略台灣嘅咋。咁對於嗰班到依家都仲認為即係中國係會當台灣一家人嘅嗰班台灣人啊，好心嘅睇下一段影片啦，自己反省下啦，一家人
啊，呃你錢揾你笨又有份。
Here, for example, in Britain, if you are a British citizen, you need to support the monarchy. You cannot say,
I'm standing in Britain. I don't support the monarchy. I don't like King Charles.
No, you cannot say. No.
I just said it.
Mehdi,
I literally just said it.
You cannot take any action to oppose the monarchy system.
But I don't have to sign a pledge saying I support King Charles.
Well, each country is different. We are talking about China.
China is very different.
喂，等下先。即既然每一個國家唔同啊，咁你就咪舉英國做例子嚟對講你一樣嘢啦，係咪呀？黐線嘅，又係你自己攞英國去做例子，咁人哋依家咪用行動去證明俾你睇，佢根本就唔需要忠於國家，又或者忠於個君主咯。由始至終係你哋先要咁樣做啫嘛，你哋要忠於習近平噶嘛。咁同埋得罪啲咁講句啊，即其實英國一直以嚟啊都有討論廢除君主制，特別係年輕嘅一族啊，都係反對嘅比較多。而一啲咁嘅資料民調基本上你上網求其打就有啦。咁之但係你作為中國嘅智庫，居然連呢一啲咁嘅資料搜集都冇做，甚至乎你連一個 sense 都冇，就認為英國人一定唔可以反對一個君主制嘅，大佬啊，係智庫定係智障啊呢一個人。
Let's talk human rights, Victor. You've called Uyghurs in China's Xinjiang province your brothers and sisters. How do you feel about the fact that at least 500,000, some say more, of your brothers and sisters are being detained in camps by the Chinese government? That's 5% of the adult Uyghur population, one of the highest imprisonment detention rates in the world.
Mehdi, the Uyghurs are a proud ethnic group, one of the 56 ethnic nationalities in China. The Uyghurs, as far as I'm concerned, are my true brothers and sisters. I know many of them. I travel to Xinjiang regularly, and I talk to many of the Uyghurs. Now, if anyone is serious about accusing China of practicing mass injustice to the Uyghurs, give me the evidence.
Just did Human Rights Watch say 500,000 people detained over the years in recent years?
You keep quote Human Rights Watch, and I tell you...
Do you know where they got those numbers from?
I don't know.
Can I tell you?
I don't know.
I thought you were the expert. You've been to Xinjiang. You've spoken to Uyghurs. You never heard these numbers?
I do not know where did they get the source.
So their source is the Xinjiang High People's Procuratorate, which has published its own statistics, Xinjiang official body, which says it's convicted 540,826 people prosecuted in the region since 2017. The United Nations Office for Human Rights looked at satellite footage. They say 10 to 20% of the population. Amnesty estimates 1 million people in camps. 500,000 is a conservative number.
Mehdi, if you quote that organization, please be assured that that organization has been completely discredited for the false information they...
I love this game we're playing. You give me a source, I give you a source. They're discredited. They've said falsehoods.
Mehdi,
how can we... Let me ask you a question. How many people are in detention in Xinjiang? You give me a number.
Listen, if you look at Xinjiang...
You give me a number.
If you look at... I do not have the number.
Why not?
Yeah.
Hold on. You can't say it's not 500,000 and then say you don't have a number. I have a number. I have sources. How many people do you think are detained?
Let me give you my reason.
No.
I go to Xinjiang a lot. I travel almost
So they're your brothers and sisters.
Xinjiang.
You go there a lot, but you can't tell me how many people are in detention.
Listen, they are happier. They enjoy their life. They enjoy their Muslim practices and traditions. Listen,
how many people are in detention, Victor?
Mehdi, let me be philosophical.
No, don't be philosophical. Be numerical.
哎呀，真係好好笑啊！喂，點解無啦啦講下講下會變咗討論咗哲學㗎？咩事啊？
Let me finish my point.
Nope.
If
you answer the question. You can't filibuster, Victor, on the show.
If anyone
how many
promotes
people do you
Xinjiang
think...
independence, they will be dealt with in
Got
law.
it. How many of them are in court? How many in detention?
The very small minority. The very small minority.
咁咪即係有啦。
You say they're all happy, but you won't let in independent investigators. You won't let in journalists to go there.
Why not?
They're not allowed to go there.
I will be happy to escort you to Xinjiang.
Really?
I can make that promise.
Really?
I will speak to the Chinese government.
Here's the problem
to
with
the Chinese
I don't want
embassy.
to escort. I don't want minders. I want to go freely. Will you allow that?
I do not make that decision.
Oh! A moment ago, you were going to make all sorts of interruptions. Suddenly I said, let me go freely and speak to Uyghurs freely. Can I do that with no minders?
I'll be happy.
No Chinese government escort.
I will be happy to make your case.
Oh, just now you said you'd organise it, now we're about make a case. You can't guarantee.
咁其實你一度都承認咗啦，即係原來新疆就真係唔俾一啲獨立嘅記者或者外國記者走入去採訪，甚至乎你最戇鳩鳩咁講到話要請示上頭嘅指示啊，咁你先可以安排一位嘅主持人，咁咪即係間接承認咗你哋新有事啦。即係如果新疆真係冇一位記者、一位主持人所講嘅嗰啲事啊，咁你哋又點會進行嚴格嘅監控啊？係咪啊？
你死你唔去死啊你啊！
Rehan Assad is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, international human rights lawyer. You are a Uyghur who Victor says, brothers and sisters. Your literal brother has been held in an internment camp in Xinjiang since 2016, I believe.
Yeah, my brother Akbar Assad is a prominent tech entrepreneur. In fact, your own media outlet called him a bright star in the tech world. Right before his detention, he was invited on a state gala dinner, and then he disappeared. How could you explain that?
Mehdi, again, in China, we have about 20 Muslim ethnic groups. You need to ask one question. Why the extremism existed mostly among... That's the real truth.
Hold on.
Talk to the Kazakhs, they don't support...
Has your brother been convicted of a crime?
According to UN, there's no trial has taken place. He just forcibly disappeared. Actually, it amounts to enforced disappearance. But according to the Chinese government, he committed a crime of inciting ethnic discrimination while he's systematically oppressed. And when I challenged that decision, because under the Chinese law, if you're committed with the alleged crime, that you have 3 years sentence, but he got 15 years. How do you justify that? Then they switched the crime. So how do you even explain this is a rule of law system? You mentioned that if people are not pro-independent, then they're fine in Xinjiang. My brother by no means is pro-independent. In fact, your media outlet, daily media, invited him to exchange information. Did he split the country when he visited Beijing?
Are you okay with the treatment of her brother?
In front of this very august body, let me make several very brief points. The real crime involved by some of the Uyghur people are agitating for Xinjiang independence. They violate the One China policy.
哇！咁依家算唔算係承認真係有維吾爾族嘅人士係被打壓啦？
They're being tortured. Numerous testimonies the UN has collected. Are you okay with that?
Mehdi, when you talk about torture, think about Guantanamo Bay prisons.
Oh my word.
Rather than in Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a place of great peace and stability.
The accounts of detainees include being beaten with batons, electric batons, while strapped in a so-called tiger chair. 158 being subjected to interrogation with water poured on their faces, prolonged solitary confinement, forced to sit motionless on stools for long periods. You're okay with this? This is the proud China?
Maybe, probably you are reading the case in Iraq committed by the American soldiers.
I'm reading the UN report in August 2022 from detainees who came out of camps in Xinjiang. Your brothers and sisters, but these brothers and sisters you don't seem to give a damn about. How do you know any torture happened in Iraq, out of interest?
I know.
How?
I know for sure.
How?
I talked to the Iraqi ambassador in Beijing.
Okay.
He wept in front of me.
And I'm sure Rehan's parents have wept.
哎呀，救命啦！哎呀，喂，大佬啊，唔好成日講啲笑話得人笑得唔得啊？喂，等我仲以為佢會提出啲乜嘢嘅證據證明伊拉克嘅戰爭真係存在一啲咁嘅問題。點知原來佢咧，佢資料來源係嚟自一個伊拉克嘅駐華大使嘅喊啊，唔係啩？
攞你命3千！西瓜刀、單車鏈、火藥、硫酸、毒藥、手槍、手榴彈。
咁我今日進入先，咁非常感謝咁多位觀眾咁有耐性睇到一度啦，即係我都知我條片係比較長些少噶啦，咁之但係你頭先都見到啦，就話一段影片裏邊，喂真係好多句説話都係精華嚟噶嘛，即係不斷揭開中共嘅嗰啲遮醜布，揭發佢哋背後嘅一面，咁所以正為咁啊，咁我就會想播長啲啦，等咁多位香港人又好，甚至係台灣人嗱，特別係台灣人，真係要好好聽下呢一段嘅訪談，聽下究竟中共點樣去睇你哋台灣咧？嗱，頭先你哋都聽到啦，即係原來中國點樣對台灣人㗎？只要你唔承認中國嘅話，他日當佢侵佔台灣嘅時候，佢係唔會當你係本地居民，即係會踢走你班台灣人啦。咁所以有希望透過一段嘅訪談節目，甚至係作為香港人嘅一啲經歷能夠話俾咁多人聽你唔好見到中國表面同你打交道，甚至乎你覺得中國嘅衣食住行乜嘢都好，跟住就當正佢係朋友咁樣。咁之但係你班台灣人同我好好記住，中共永遠係你嘅敵人，絕對唔係你嘅朋友，唔好咁天真啦 ，OK？